important reason they got Phillips is because they needed someone in the leadoff slot who would consistently get on base.
So tonight, the umpires are brought to you as always by NAM, National Arbitration and Mediation, the most timely, cost-effective way to settle your legal disputes. The veteran, the crew chief, Frank Pulley, has the balls and strikes with Charlie Williams at first. Greg Gibson, the umpire at second, and Ed Rapuano is the umpire at third. And so with Phillips in the leadoff spot, at least for tonight, Brian McRae, who's been so effective lately, will drop down to the 5th spot in the batting order.
Brian McRae has been swinging a hot bat, whether it's in a leadoff slot or down in the order.
So game 2 of a 4-game series between the Mets and Dodgers about to begin. Let's take a look at the Dodgers lineup. This is one of 4 possibilities that manager Glenn Hoffman had on his table before the game, because he wasn't sure whether or not Grusolanic and Perez would ever get here. They did, and so Young leads off at second with Grusolanic making his Dodger debut. At shortstop, Gary Sheffield in right, Eric Karros in the cleanup spot at first, Matt Luke the left fielder, Trinidad Hubbard is in center, Adrian Beltre the third baseman with Charles Johnson behind the plate, and Carlos Perez will do the pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And for the New York Mets, Rick Reed gets set to make his 22nd start of the year. 11 wins, 7 losses, 2.75 earned run average. Rick has had 1 complete game. Last time out, last weekend against the Cubs in Chicago, he took a 3-1 loss. And the first pitch to Eric Young is on the outside corner.
When you look at Rick Reed, you think of a guy who needs a lot of ground balls, yet he's a pitcher who doesn't get very many double play balls.
Very few, about 2, I guess, this year.
Fouled away by Young, a guy you want to keep off base at all costs. He has 33 stolen bases, second in the National League. Rick Reed on Sunday in Chicago went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits and just 2 runs. The Mets would lose that game 3-1 to the Cubs. And the Cubs won their game today at Wrigley, beating Colorado 3-2. And the fastball fouled away to the right side.
In looking at the success Rick Reed has had, many teams have given up on Rick Reed. You wonder, Ralph, if it will have an influence on teams as far as making decisions in the future concerning players. Will they be more patient because of the success of a Rick Reed?
Well, I think they have to be more patient because of expansion. They're looking for bodies.
That is George Fabregas on the left of your screen. He's one of the Mets' new acquisitions, a catcher. And, of course, Bob Apodaca, who's worked so well with Rick Reed, going back to their days in Norfolk a couple of years ago. So Dak's got to explain to Fabregas about the arsenal, not only of Rick Reed, but gradually, of course, about all the Met pitchers, because it's a crash course for this kid.
But he isn't figured to do much catching with this ball club.
If he does a lot of catching, that means Mike Piazza's not with the Mets, or he's hurt.
And the 2-2 bounced to short. Ordonez takes care of Young, 1 man away.
Well, the defense for the Mets. Tony Phillips in left field. First game he has played for the Mets. Brian McRae in center field. Butch Husky in left. Ed Alfonso at third base. Ray Ordonez at short. Carlos Baerga at second. John Oberrud at first, and Mike Piazza, the catcher.
Well, they flew here in the same plane from Montreal. But Grusolanic showed up at the ballpark around 3:30, and Perez just showed up at the park. I get a feeling the Perez family has trouble with directions.
Well, Pasquale couldn't find the ballpark in Atlanta when he first got his driver's license. And he went around and around the ballpark, couldn't get off the freeway down there to get to the park. Missed his start.
You can't miss the ballpark in Atlanta.
He didn't know how to turn off.
Well, you get the feeling Grusolanic would have walked from Montreal to get to whatever his new destination would be. He was miserable up there. Remember, this is a guy who had 200 hits a couple of years ago. And by today's standards, not making a whole lot of money.
Well, Tommy Harper, the batting instructor with the Expos, said that the pitchers made adjustments to Grusolanic, and he had to convince this hitter to make adjustments to Major League pitching, because he said, you didn't lose it overnight. You got over 200 hits.
And the 1-2 pitch fouled off his leg.
He has had more base hits than any shortstop in the National League over the last 3 years. 487 hits, not counting this season.
Baseball is brought to you in part by Discover Card. It pays to discover. Accepted where you see the Novus sign.
You're looking at the borough of Manhattan, and now you're looking inside Shea Stadium in Flushing, New York. Huge crowd on hand as Rick Reed steps in to lead it off here in the bottom of the 5th.
And right here, Mets chance to score a run, but Beltre makes a great play and ends the inning. Mets have had 2 chances to score, and they've been turned back by 2 great plays. One by Beltre and one by the shortstop, Kazalani.
And the 1-0 pitch to Reed is down low. 2 balls and no strikes. It's been quiet here at Shea because of a pitcher's duel so far. No runs, 2 hits for each club. Reed takes a strike. 2-1. Foul off. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Reed takes the breaking ball, strike 3, so 1 man down here in the bottom of the 5th for the Mets.
Left fielder Tony Phillips.
And now we'll take a look at our Jeep game summary.
Well, it's all pitching in this ball game, although Olerud has had 2 for 2 and a 15-game hitting streak.
And the batter now, Tony Phillips. He takes a strike. Phillips in this ball game grounded out. That was in the 1st inning, and struck out in the 3rd. Takes down low. 1 ball and 1 strike. Phillips at 39 years old is 5 foot 10 inches tall, 175 pounds. Outside, 2-1. Over the years, usually the leadoff hitter is not a real big guy, although Bobby Bonds was about 6'3". He's an outstanding leadoff hitter for the San Francisco Giants.
Phillips was originally signed by Montreal, never played for the big club.
3-1.
Played with Oakland for a major part of his career. Also the Angels, White Sox. 16-year major league career.
Well, he has a count of 3-1 with 1 man out here in the bottom of the 5th. Don't score the Mets and the Dodgers, and Phillips walks. That's what I want him to do, get on base. So Steve Phillips picking up Tony Phillips.
Third baseman and
Tony Phillips going down to first base with a walk here in the bottom of the 5th. And Carlos Perez will now take on Edgardo Alfonzo. Alfonzo takes a strike, so it's 0-1. Cookie Rojas, third base coach at the Mets, flashing signs. Perez faking to first base. And now he throws. Checking Phillips. Alfonso right now batting .258, 6 home runs and 47 RBIs. Mets were expecting a little bit more from Alfonso this year.
They need to have him get hot.
That's not going to do it because it's going to be a 4-6-3 double play. And that'll do it for the Mets here in the bottom of the 5th inning. They fail to score. After 5 here at Shea, there's no score. The Dodgers and the Mets.
Having fun yet? Then get to the summer of fun and nobody beats the whiz. Buy the fun stuff you want and get more fun stuff, like special offers, tickets to games, Madison Square Garden, Radio City Music Hall with select purchases. See newspaper for details. Nobody beats the whiz. A Cablevision company.
Only God makes better copies.
Since Armageddon hit, there's been a lot of this going on. Even a little of this. But the one that hits McDonald's this week is the granddaddy of them all. Catch this summer's other blockbuster, a quarter pounder with cheese, America's favorite fries and a Coke. Think that's big? Grab supersized fries, a supersized drink, and a double quarter pounder with cheese, all for just $1 more. Where can you get a meal with its own gravitational pull? Did somebody say McDonald's?
It's out there waiting. And in all our years of experience, we've learned one thing. You're not the only one who depends on good brakes. With upfront pricing at Midas, we first perform a 45-point inspection to find what repairs are needed and what can wait, so you only pay what we quote you. Come into Midas today, because you never know what you might run into next.
Hispanic night here at Shea Stadium. Before the game, the late, great Roberto Clemente was honored. On hand, his son, Luis Clemente. And Luis, we know your dad passed away doing charitable work to the earthquake-stricken victims in Nicaragua. But his charitable work continues through Roberto Clemente Sports City, doesn't it?
That's correct. We've been working very hard at Puerto Rico, Roberto Clemente Sports City. And basically today we have the support of Major League Baseball by having both Major League Baseball presidents and our board of directors, also the owner of the Pirates, Mr. McClatchy.
Now, your dad passed away on New Year's Eve in 1972. You were 5 years old. What memories do you have, and obviously what have you learned since then about what he meant to this game and to his people?
Well, you know, growing up while he was alive, I learned he was very dedicated. He was a person that liked to always be in great shape and represent his people in the best way. So as I kept growing by reference, by the experiences that other people had with him, I actually came to understand the kind of human being that he was, and that is so important for me. So that's why I'm continuing his dreams, actually.
Roberto Clemente was a great player, but more importantly, fellas, he was a great humanitarian.
Thank you, Matt. Charles Johnson pops up a 1-2 pitch to the right side of the infield, but perhaps fittingly, it's Carlos Baerga who makes the catch.
Talking about Roberto Clemente, when he was young, he was a great javelin thrower, as well as being one of the players with one of the greatest arms in baseball.
Probably how he developed it, huh? Rick Reed has retired 11 batters in a row, as Carlos Perez will be the hitter.
One thing I've learned, though, Howie, it's much better to be a javelin thrower than a javelin catcher.
That's when you know you've got an entry-level position. So Carlos Perez way out in front of the breaking ball, 0-1. Clemente was such an outstanding player for so long, it might surprise some people to know that he didn't really get his due nationally until 1971, next to last year of his career, when he led the Pirates to a World Series victory over the Baltimore Orioles. But it was only after that World Series that people all over the country talked about what a great player Roberto Clemente was.
Yeah, he turned down his chance to play in one of the great movies of all time, The Odd Couple. They asked him to hit into a triple play for a scene for the movie. He said, no, not me. The great Roberto Clemente doesn't hit into triple play.
And the fastball on the inside corner gets Perez.
When Roberto Clemente and the Pirates would play against the San Francisco Giants, Juan Marichal, if they were in Pittsburgh, would go and have dinner at Roberto's house, or Roberto would go to Juan's house in San Francisco and have dinner. And one time, Juan Marichal invited Roberto to go to his house. Well, Roberto said, yes, I will go, and didn't show up. Well, the next day, Juan drilled him. And as he was going to first base, he said, the next time I invite you or you say yes, you better show up.
Could almost have predicted that, given the lore about pitching in those days. Guys like Marichal and Bob Gibson and Don Drysdale. I wonder if any of that was exaggerated.
Well, I was talking to Juan about that story the other day. He was here at Shea Stadium.
Breaking ball misses to Eric Young, 1-0. Young's grounded out twice, once to short and once to third. Each side with 2 hits, no score, 2 outs top of the 6th inning. Olerud has both New York hits, Grusolonic and Hubbard for the Dodgers. 2-0 now to Young. Eric Young started his career in the Dodgers organization. Became an original Colorado Rocky. And now back with the Dodgers. 2-1. In fact, he was the first batter in Rockies history. The Mile High Stadium, where the Denver Broncos play and where the Rockies played the first 2 years of their existence. He got the organization off to a prodigious start with a home run. This one will stay in the yard, though. Tony Phillips lines it up. And it's another 1-2-3 inning for Rick Reed. He's retired 13 in a row, but we're scoreless. Last of the 6th coming right up.
No matter how high the thermometer climbs or how sticky the humidity gets, nothing will be hotter this summer than the deals you'll get during Jeep Summer Days. Like a 0-down $279 a month Cherokee lease with only $774 due at signing. With all this, including air conditioning at no extra charge. Or get a great price on Jeep Wrangler. But you'd better hurry in, because deals this incredibly hot are bound to cool down fast. Check out this $279 lease at your dealer.
This program is brought to you in part by NAM, National Arbitration and Mediation, the most timely and cost-effective way to settle your legal disputes.
Hello?
Susan, it's Fred.
Hi. Are we still on for tonight?
Indeed. I have reservations at Shea Joseph.
Really? That place is always booked.
Well, Shea's a personal friend of mine. Pick you up at 7.
Okay. So, do you look as good as you sound?
OmniPoint, 100% digital, 0% hassle. Get $179 Ericsson 388, the latest in digital wireless, for $49.
International Week continues with Jewish Night on Tuesday, August 4th. Show up at Shea early for a pregame concert by David Dudu Fisher. The first 25,000 fans will receive a pin commemorating Israel's 50th Jubilee. Be here when the Mets take on the San Francisco Giants as the race for the wild card heats up. For tickets, call 718-507-TIXX. That's 718-507-TIXX.
It's time for the Coors Light Silver Bullet 6. Adam Sadell from New Jersey is today's lucky fan. So if a Met homers this inning, Adam gets dinner for 2 at a participating Turtle Bay Grill and Lounge. And Adam, you got 3, 4, and 5 in the Mets batting order trying to get you that meal. John Olerud, Mike Piazza, and Brian McRae. Olerud's been the Mets offense tonight. 2 singles, 1 in the first, 1 in the third, each coming with 2 men out. So Olerud now with a 15-game hitting streak, and the batting average at .342. That is higher than any Met has ever hit in a full season. Leon Jones in 1969, helping the Mets to their first World Championship, led the team in hitting with .340.
John Olerud led the American League with .363.
And he hits this one hard, but right at Eric Young. That's the first out here in the 6th inning for New York.
John Olerud has to be considered one of the better hitters in all of baseball, the way he swings that bat. The Blue Jays wanted him to hit with power, more power. And they tried to change him. They wanted him to get up on the plate and pull the ball. Didn't work out.
With one out, Mike Piazza coming up. Nothing in one to Mike, who's still looking for his first hit against his former team. 0 for 4 last night, 0 for 1 with a walk tonight. George Fabregas, the catcher, talking to Bob Apodaca, the Mets pitching coach. Fabregas was saying before the game that he expected, it's funny because this is what Piazza was saying at the time of his trade to New York too. He heard that he was going to be traded, but he figured it was going to be to the Cubs.
Everybody thinks they're going to be traded to the Cubs.
Got to make Scott Service and Tyler Houston feel outright, just downright terrific. They're the incumbent catchers in Chicago. And Piazza down at the change.
Center fielder Brian
Tommy Lasorda was the guy that got Mike Piazza signed against everybody else's wishes in the Dodgers organization. He said they had a tryout. He got the scouts to look at him. The Dodgers scouts said, well, he doesn't swing the bat good enough to be a first baseman. At that time, Mike Piazza was the first baseman. He said, okay, how's he shape up as a catcher if he swings the bat like that? They said, well, he'd be better off if he was a catcher. He said, okay, he's a catcher. And that's how Mike Piazza ended up catching in professional baseball.
So Piazza still trying to get it going on a more consistent run-producing level for the Mets. And it's Brian McRae taking a strike, 0-1. McRae is struck out, bounced into an inning-ending fielder's choice. It was on an outstanding play by the shortstop, Mark Russellonic, to end the third inning. Olerud was at second, Piazza at first, and McRae hit it hard, took a big hop. And the outstretched glove of Mark Russellonic came up with it. Russellonic again. McRae flying down the line, but Russellonic gets it there in time. So the Mets go in order in the 6th inning. Our thanks to Ralph. We'll see him again on Monday night for the final game of this 4-game series. This one scoreless as we head to the 7th.
Hi, I'd like to start getting home delivery of the Sunday New York Times.
Now you can enjoy Sunday even more by getting the New York Times delivered to your home every weekend. And when you call now, you'll get 50% off the regular home delivery price.
I enjoy waking up and having the Sunday New York Times waiting for me. I know it'll tell me things that I won't hear, read, or see anywhere else.
I get international and cultural news, and I get a jump on the week ahead.
Call now to order, and you'll get the book review, travel, arts and leisure, week in review, and the New York Times Magazine.
On Sunday mornings, we catch up on what we really love. She goes straight for arts and leisure. I check out the magazine.
So call now to enjoy the Sunday New York Times for 8 weeks with home delivery at 50% off.
Hi, I'd like to start getting the Sunday New York Times at home.
I think the only thing I enjoy more than doing the crossword puzzle is actually finishing it.
Call now, 1-800-496-2453, and get the Sunday New York Times delivered to your home every weekend.
For me, Sunday was made for the New York Times.
Have Mets fans changed much since the early 1960s? Let's find out.
Win or lose, I love the Mets. I think they're the best thing for New York.
I'm a Mets fan, and my children are a Mets fan. We talk Mets all the time.
I like the New York Mets because they're a hard-fighting team, and they get all the bad breaks.
We're really rooting for the Mets.
Well, the fans haven't changed much. Mets fans sure stick by their team and of Fox Sports New York.
We watched the Mets play and were captured by their spirit and their enthusiasm, and now we're both Mets fans.
Where were you on May 22nd, 1998?
They have Grissom picked off. He broke early. Cook running right at him. They get another one.
This is unbelievable.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by MCS Cannon, keeping people in business, Howie Rose, Fran Healy, Ralph Kiner, Matt Loughlin, all with you from Shea Stadium tonight. Too early to fall asleep when there's a salsa concert coming up after the game. Going to the 7th inning with no score. Just 2 hits per team. Mark Russellonic in his Dodger debut has one of them. And he goes after the first pitch, fouls it back.
Well, if you like good pitching, you're watching the right game. Rick Reed and Carlos Perez have been throwing excellent strikes, getting ahead of the hitters.
Reed looking for his 12th win of the year. He's 11-7. And he can't come up with a comebacker. It shoots through the middle, and Grusselanic's got his second hit. And that's the first time tonight the Dodgers have had the leadoff man on. It ends a streak of 13 straight batters retired by Reed.
Here's how it looks on the chase cam replay. Grusselanik gets a pitch out over the plate, and he hits it right back up the middle. Reed just missing that ground ball.
So now the Dodgers with Grusselanik on first get into the power in their lineup. Gary Sheffield is grounded into a double play and flied out to center. Sheffield 19 homers, 74 runs batted in. A lot of action in that bat as he takes ball one. Sheffield wiggles that bat around in the batter's box about as often as anyone, although Fran refuses to accept the thought that he might be wiggling maybe 1.5 to 2 times less per plate appearance than he used to. 2, 3, 4, 5. He was at 6 last night. Would have been there if he didn't show bunt. And it's 2-0.
Sheffield's a very good athlete. In fact, in high school, the high school coach at Hillsborough High School in Tampa, Florida, would not allow his baseball players to participate in the football program. Doc Gooden told me one day they were looking at the paper and they saw that Gary Sheffield scored a couple touchdowns. They couldn't believe it. He was on a football team. The baseball coach wanted him to quit. He refused to quit.
It's this one into short center. On comes McCray. Tried to decoy the runner Grusselanik. McCray playing the ball on a hop. And the Dodgers have 2 on with nobody out.
First baseman Eric Karros.
Saw McCray try and convince Grusselanik that he was going to make that catch to freeze the base runner. But Grusselanik wasn't buying it, and so Sheffield has a base hit.
Well, it's tough when you're playing a guy like Sheffield. He takes the big swing. He hits the ball off the end of the bat. More than just a few times that ball's going to drop in, because if you're an outfielder, you're playing the swing of the bat and hopefully the sound of the bat. But when you got a guy like Sheffield who can drive the ball, he takes the big swing. When he hits it off the end of the bat, there's a good chance he's going to get a base hit in the shallow outfield.
Eric Karros now, who has struck out twice. First pitch hitting, he fouls it away. 0-1. Karros struck out looking in the second inning, swinging in the fourth. He's only had 1 hit in 10 trips to the plate against Rick Reed. Play Karras straight away in the outfield. The infield at double play depth. Baerga sneaking in behind, but Grusselanik back. Grusselanik wearing that number 30, formerly worn by best shortstop in LA Dodger history, Maury Wills. And the fastball just missed. 1-1. Karras has driven in 59 runs this year with 13 home runs. And he hits that one well to right field. Husky's got a beat. Grusselanik tags. He's on his way to third. Throw comes into Ordonez. So Sheffield holds it first with Grusselanik now in a scoreless game at third base. 1 out. Runners at the corners for Matt Luke. So Karras in this scoreless game gets a runner to within 90 feet. And now Matt Luke will try and break the ice for the Dodgers. He has struck out, grounded out. And the old third to first proves nothing.
Haven't seen that work in many, many years. I think I told you, though, I caught a guy who, well, he could use that play. He picked guys off third and first. His name was Steve Busby.
Broke his bat. Luke did as he lined it foul. 0-1.
Steve Busby would embarrass base runners with that move.
Why? What was it that Busby was able to do that nobody else is capable of doing?
The key going to third is the third baseman has to be close to the bag. And when Busby would come up, he would tuck. And when he would tuck, it was amazing what he could do. Most pitchers, they don't tuck. They go up, and they just step towards the base.
Why don't you define that?
Well, tuck is, he brings that front leg in towards his stomach, and it's just a motion, and I believe it's illegal now to tuck. But Busby had it down to perfection. And he would pick guys off third. I've seen him do it twice in one game to the same base runner. The players on the Kansas City Royals would get excited when runners were on first and third and Busby was pitching.
That's where they are now, at the corners with one man out. 0-1 to Matt Luke. And Reed away with a fastball, ahead of the count now. Russolonic started the inning with a single. Sheffield followed with a bloop single. Karros threw out to right field. That's how Russolonic wound up at third. So you see the Mets set up defensively, hoping Reed could get a ground ball. And the Mets can try to turn a double play and get out of the inning. The 0-2 to Luke. Got him! Strikeout number 6 for Rick Reed. 2 men away.
Center fielder Trinidad Hubbard.
Reed not out of the inning yet, although Luke's work is done for the time being. Trinidad Hubbard, the Dodger center fielder, coming up.
And that last pitch from Rick Reed, throwing the heater by Luke up high. Get that big swing, and ball might have been a little bit too high and out of the strike zone.
Trinidad Hubbard fouls the first pitch down the right field line. 0-1. Hubbard doubled in the second inning. Grounded to third in the fifth. Trinidad Hubbard's been a hot hitter lately for the Dodgers. 19 hits in his last 49 trips. That's trying to cool him off and get out of this 7th inning. And the fastball away. 1-1. Hubbard had some knee problems earlier this year, which put him on the disabled list. And one of the Dodgers' better pinch hitters as well. Again, Raul Mondesi out tonight with a stiff back. So Hubbard in the starting lineup, as he was last night. And the 1-1. A chopper towards Ordonez. Side retired. So Rick Reed gave up a pair of singles to start the inning. Got Karros, Luke, and Hubbard. And it's time to stretch at Shea, still scoreless.
Well, my Discover card statement reads like a wish list.
What?
Toys. I like toys. I love pinball machines. This will improve my golf game. It is unbelievable to me how fortunate I've been in my life, and I can't ask for anything more. The best thing you can do with your Discover card cashback bonus is give it straight to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That's what I do.
It pays to Discover. Call 1-800-IT-PAYS-TO. Accepted where you see the nervous sign.
The new Dodge wanted to take the sport utility concept to a higher level. Enter the new Durango. Its best-in-class power, cargo space, and seating for up to 8 raise the bar considerably, as do its strongest-in-class frame and its stable, longer, wider stance. Dodge Durango, a higher form of sport utility, from top to bottom. Durango, new ground for the new Dodge.
Having fun yet?
Then get to the summer of fun and nobody beats the Wiz. Buy the fun stuff you want and get more fun stuff, like special offers, tickets to games, Madison Square Garden, Radio City Music Hall with select purchases. See newspaper for details. Nobody beats the Wiz, a Cablevision company.
When it comes to renting a car, there's really only one place to go. National gets you in your car and on the road fast. So what are you waiting for? National Car Rental. Let's go.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by the Dime, the bank that's with you all the way. Hope you've been with us all the way tonight. Good pitchers duel. Rick Reed just did some solid pitching, much to the delight of that youngster and his dad. And now the Mets will try and get Reed some support here in the last of the 7th. No score. Mets with only 2 hits off of Carlos Perez in his Dodger debut, and he throws the fastball by Husky. Butch grounded to short, flat out to right. Husky, Baerga, and Ordonez. Here in the New York 7th. 1-1 now to Husky.
Well, Carlos Perez took his time getting to the ballpark today, but it didn't affect his pitching. We talked about how well Reed has been throwing. Well, Carlos Perez is throwing just as well.
He's got Husky. You see the center fielder, Trinidad Hubbard, pulled around towards right center against Butch Husky with a left-hander on the mound. Is that surprising at all?
Yeah, because although Husky sprays the ball around, now maybe Perez knows that Husky hits him more to the right side, so he can dictate the alignment. You wouldn't consider Husky a dead pull hitter or a pull hitter. Look at Joey Malfitano, the third base coach at the Dodgers.
Husky checked his swing. Butch has only had 1 extra base hit in 19 trips against Carlos Perez. He's 4 for 19 in his career against him. It's fairly economical into the 7th inning.
He's thrown the ball very well, and so has Reed. And they're both throwing strikes and getting ahead of the hitters.
Breaking ball evens the count 2-2.
With 2 strikes, you see what Charles Johnson had to do. He had to go down there and catch that ball. He went down on both knees and scooped it out of the dirt just in case Husky would chase it.
They want it outside, and Husky just got a piece of it. Once the count got to 2 strikes on Butch, Hubbard, the center fielder, took another step over towards right center, the opposite field. Did he hold his swing? Yes, he did, according to Charlie Williams. So now the count's full. Carlos Perez was in an automobile accident last week as Baerga waits on deck. Perez suffered a broken nose. And the payoff pitch fell to the right side. And there were so many rumors in the few days leading up to yesterday when the Dodgers made the trade that the Los Angeles Times reported in yesterday morning's edition that Mike Judd would pitch for the Dodgers Saturday night unless they traded for Carlos Perez. Not as though they were clairvoyant. Certainly you would think they were in to some extent on what was going on. What with the Dodgers having been rumored to be dealing with the Expos for a while. Hit hard. Nice play by Eric Young. And Huskies retired, 1 man away.
Oh, we talked about the defensive alignment right there. Husky hitting the ball hard, but to the right side off Carlos Perez. Eric Young making that play. Showed you the defense, and there's Perez taking something off that pitch. Husky waiting and hitting the ball, a one-hopper to Eric Young. And you'll see the reaction by Carlos Perez.
Carlos Perez is used to pitching in these low-scoring games as Carlos Baerga takes downstairs.
But this club can get him some runs. The Dodgers should be able to help Perez in scoring more runs for him. Although that Expo ball club's not a bad team.
2-0 to Baerga. Carlos Perez has not gotten a lot of run support this year. Baerga has not done much offensively from the right side, but Right now, Carlos Perez has the worst run support among all National League pitchers. And you know who's second? Willie Blair. .3-0 to Baerga's right there. Blair acquired by the Mets yesterday in that Bernard Gilkey deal with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
It's funny when you're not getting run support, it's like anything else. Then a pitcher tries to do special things to help himself out, and throwing a shutout here, trying to keep teams from scoring runs, put extra pressure on yourself.
3-2 to Baerga with 1 out. Scoreless in the 7th. To the right side, it'll reach the seats. So full count still to Baerga. Carlos Perez, 29 and 31 lifetime, 2 and 3 in his career against the New York Mets. This is the 79th start of his major league career. Here's the opening day pitcher for Montreal this year. Ordonez waiting his turn. And it'll come with a man on base as Baerga draws a 1-out walk. So 1 on, 1 out. And Ordonez coming up. Lots more coming up. Mets and Dodgers do it again to close out the series Monday here at Shea, 7:30 on Fox Sports New York. And be back with us on Tuesday when the Giants come to town. Barry Bonds and company will hit New York for their only trip. Again, 7:30 on Fox Sports New York. Make sure to check your local listings. So here's Ordonez, walk and fly to center. Baerga with a short lead. Perez makes it even shorter. Ordonez was in his best hitting streak of the year, if you will, when he got hurt last week in Chicago. Not a consecutive game streak necessarily, but just his best groove.
He was coming off a good series in Milwaukee. Got some key hits against the Brewers. Right now they need a key hit from Ordonez, who's facing Carlos Perez with Carlos Baerga on first base.
And the 1-0 taken low. Perez has walked 5. Charlie Huff. Notice the grip on the telephone, not with the fingertips, as a knuckleball pitcher would do to a baseball. That's the conventional grip on the telephone.
Charlie Huff, a knuckleball pitcher, the pitching coach with the Dodgers. Now he's teaching fastballs and sliders.
Some milling around in the Dodger bullpen as the result of that phone call. 2-0 to Ordonez. And now 3 balls, no strikes. And Perez visibly frustrated. Rick Reed in the on-deck circle in a potential position to help himself. And you see Luis Lopez grab that batting helmet. Makes you wonder whether or not Reed's going to hit.
Boy, it's going to be tough to take Rick Reed out of the ballgame the way he's pitching. He's allowed only 4 hits, no runs.
On the outside corner, Ordonez taking all the way, 3-1.
And Reed has hit the ball hard in this game. 1 time.
Antonio Osuna, the right-hander, Scott Radinsky, the left-hander for the Dodgers. Osuna, the winning pitcher in last night's game. 3-1 to Ordonez. Ball 4. Runners at first and second. 6 walks now issued by Carlos Perez.
Okay, now there's a situation here where you're going to expect a bunt from Rick Reed. We're going to get a pinch runner for Carlos Baerga. And Charlie Huff going out to talk to his pitcher. Bobby Valentine just sent Luis Lopez out to run for Baerga. Now Reed, everybody's going to anticipate the bunt. Is this a good situation to allow Rick Reed to take a rip? He'll probably get a fastball. Howie, you've been aggressively managing the Mets for many, many years.
Yeah, with Stratomatic, that's dice or computers. This stuff, that's over my head. That's what you've been telling me for years now.
I want all of you to get up.
Of course, the other factor is the problem that the Mets have had with their bullpen lately. I mean, personally, my personal opinion is you're not going to hit for Rick Reed here. He's pitched too well.
Yeah.
But had the bullpen been more consistent as of late, it would probably be a more tempting thought for Bobby Valentine.
Wouldn't tempt me. I'd allow Rick Reed to hit. I wouldn't care how the bullpen is doing. Right now, Reed is pitching very well. He swings a decent bat. He might pick up a base hit and drive in a run.
So as Reed comes up, the Dodgers plan their defense accordingly. Eric Karros in your picture, the first baseman, is backing up right now. He's about 15 feet closer to the hitter, and now he starts to creep up. Here comes Karros, the pitch taken for a ball.
You know, they got so many men in motion, so many defensive players in motion. If you can hit this ball with some type of authority, even on the ground, you get a chance of putting it through. You gotta be kidding me. Somebody threw a baseball on the field? Wow.
So 1-0 now on Reed. Lopez running for Baerga at second. Ordonez at first. The runners go. And Reed swinging away, hits it to center. Hubbard has time. And he gets there. So now Lopez comes back to second, and Ordonez goes back to first.
Good try by Rick Reed. He made contact. Hit the ball to center field.
Let's hear the Tony Phillips.
And there's really not a whole lot wrong with that at all, even though, of course, it cost the Mets an out. You still have Lopez, a fast runner, in scoring position should Phillips get a hit.
And you can see Rick Reed's reaction when he gets down to first base. He was hoping he drove that ball over the center fielder's head. Now, the big thing right there is, I mean, he could bunt the ball and he could get the lead runner at third. Bobby Valentine took a chance, and it was a good move. Just didn't work out.
So Phillips now in a position to do some damage for the first time as a Met. Tony Phillips grounded to third, struck out, and drew a walk. No score. We're in the seventh. That's two base runners. Lopez at second running for Baerga, and Ordonez both coming via the base on balls. And Carlos Perez has issued 6 of those tonight. Pulled, and Beltre, the third baseman, goes the short way, and the side retired. So Perez gets out of it, although he walks 2 more. And at the end of 7, still no score.
Summer means clearance at your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer. Clearance means low finance rates. Now get 1.9 APR on all Chrysler and Plymouth minivans. Clearance means America's lowest priced minivan, Plymouth Voyager, costs even less. Clearance means big factory authorized cash back. Get $1,500 cash back on Plymouth Grand Voyager and Chrysler Town & Country LXI. Summer means clearance. Clearance means savings at your Chrysler and Plymouth dealer.
This program is brought to you in part by NAM, National Arbitration and Mediation, the most timely and cost-effective way to settle your legal disputes.
Today, we could be part of someone's wedding. Tomorrow, we could help Lisa Powell win a new account. This evening, we might bring sweethearts together. Because every day, every one of us is personally involved in connecting every one of you to your reason for flying. And we all have the same reason for doing it well. You, Delta Airlines, on top of the world.
It's 62 days and nights of the world's best racing action. It's 100 major stakes races, including the Meadowland Pace, Breeders' Crown, and the Hambletonian. It's a battle for over $14 million in purses between the world's best horses and best drivers. The championship meet continues through August 8th at the home of the world's greatest harness action, the Meadowlands Racetrack.
You're watching Mets baseball on Fox Sports New York.
We go to the 8th inning, but before we do, let's give you a look at our official score of the game. Brought to you by NAM, National Arbitration and Mediation, the most timely, cost-effective way to settle your legal disputes. Red Foley will settle all the scoring disputes. Here's your official score tonight, telling everyone about the Mets' defensive change as Rick Reed goes to work against the bottom third of the Dodgers order. Adrian Beltre takes a breaking ball for a strike. Luis Lopez goes in to play second base after running for Carlos Baerga. No runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 2 hits for the Mets. Another breaking ball, 1-1. Beltre fouls it off. Carlos Perez just got out of trouble in the home 7th. So did Reed in the top of the inning.
Yeah, Rick Reed striking out the first batter, getting the second batter to hit to Ordonez. I should say that's the third out of the inning. So Rick Reed throwing good strikes, and so is Carlos Perez.
Reed has not walked a batter. It's not real news for Rick Reed, who's always among the very elite in the National League in terms of fewest walks allowed or the ratio of walks per 9 innings.
Well, you saw him get Matt Luke with a good striker. It looked like a little bit high, but he got Luke to chase that ball in the 7th.
And the breaking ball 2-2. In fact, we told you earlier about what a control pitcher Carlos Perez usually is. Reed has given up the 3rd fewest walks per average over 9 innings in the league, and Perez the 5th fewest. That's fouled, or at least twisting towards the line before it's grabbed in fair territory by Lopez. So Beltre retired, 1 away. One out, nobody on. Charles Johnson coming up. Make sure to stay tuned after our telecast of the Mets and the Dodgers for Fox Sports News. All the day's scores and more coming up at 10 o'clock here on Fox Sports New York. Charles Johnson 0 for 2. Noise in the background. The wave has emerged.
It's coming back. Here's a guy you got to watch. Although he has a 208 batting average, he's got some pop in the bat. He's got 15 home runs.
One ball, 1 strike on Johnson. Fans saluting themselves for the well-orchestrated wave. Reed's 1-1 pitch, a fastball on the outside corner. One ball, 2 strikes to Johnson. And that's line to right. Husky there. So 2 men away. Rick Reed keeps sailing along. He's given up 4 hits so far. But the key again with Reed, as we've talked about since his first game as a New York Met, control. Take a look at his pitching line and see that big goose egg towards the right side of your screen. He has not walked a batter. That is in stark contrast to the Dodgers starter, Carlos Perez. And so with Perez having worked 7 innings and walking 6, his work is done.
And that's unusual for Carlos Perez. He usually has good control.
So Alex Cora will be the pinch hitter, and Mookie Wilson explaining how he wants the Mets to defend Cora. Rich Husky in right field was pretty deep, and now he's been moved in a couple of steps against Cora. He's the brother of Joey Cora, former Major League infielder. And the breaking ball, 0-1. 2 out, nobody on here in the 8th inning.
Alex Cora batting only 138. Hasn't been to bat that often.
He got to play against his brother Joey. In fact, he made his big league debut coming in as a defensive replacement in Seattle during the interleague period this year when the Dodgers played the Mariners. 1-1 line foul.
When Rick Reed is on, hitters very seldom get pitches over the middle of the plate. He's either inside or outside with quality strikes. He's been quite a story.
And the 1-2 pitch to the right side. Oh, bad hop for Lopez, and he can't hold on. He was expecting it to stay down, and when it came up, he couldn't field it cleanly, and that should be an error on Luis Lopez.
Second baseman Eric Young.
Well, a lot of baseball people feel second base is Lopez's best position. He got down, stayed down, ball came up, and he was unable to get the handle. So Cora on first base. Carlos Baerga removed by Bobby Valentine for Luis Lopez, who went into pinch run for Baerga last inning.
Well, we showed you Red Foley a moment ago. You were clairvoyant, knowing that he'd have some work to do. And he did charge Luis Lopez with the error, and so now it's 1-0 on Eric Young, the Dodgers leadoff batter.
It looks to me right now the team that can manufacture a run is going to win this ball game. So managers become so important late in the game when you have to manufacture a run.
Fastball up, 2-0. You've declared nobody's going to hit it out of here tonight.
Well, no declaration like that, but the way these guys have been throwing tonight, unless the Mets can take advantage of the Dodgers bullpen, this game might be one on speed.
That's hit hard into left field and headed towards the corner. Up with it now is Phillips. Cora flying around third. The relay throw to the plate from Ordonez. Not in time. A double for Eric Young, and the Dodgers lead 1-0. He had the game-winning hit last night, and he's put the Dodgers on top in the 8th inning tonight.
So the error hurts the Mets. And Eric Young took advantage of the error in driving Cora all the way around from first base to put the Dodgers ahead 1-0. Eric Young, who did most of his playing last year in Colorado, hit that ball hard, and the Mets were not shading Young straight up. They were shading him and hit the ball the other way. Strong throw from Ordonez, but late as Cora slides in ahead of the tag.
1-0 Los Angeles, and Mark Grusolonic 2 for 3 will be the hitter. So Alex Cora looked as though he grounded out to end the inning. It turns into an unearned run for the Dodgers as Cora, utilizing outstanding speed, came around from first. Kickoff play at second. Eric Young back.
And Cora with a good jump off first base. The ball's in front of him. He knows that he's going to try for home. He rounds third base on his way home, and he beats the throw. So good speed. Put the Dodgers ahead 1-0.
Fastball on the outer edge to Grusolonic, 0-1.
Usually a double left field, you don't see runners coming from first base and scoring. It usually ends up second and third, but as you mentioned, Howie, Cora with good speed just kept on coming.
Piazza wants it away. That's where it's delivered, and it winds up in Olerud's glove. But damaged by the Dodgers in the 8th. It looked harmless enough when Cora hit a ground ball, but Lopez bobbled it, and then Eric Young drove Cora around with the only run so far.
We interrupt this program to bring you the following message. No one duplicates color better than we do. MCS Canon.
It's out there waiting. And in all our years of experience, we've learned one thing.
You're not the only one who depends on good brakes. With upfront pricing at Midas, we first perform a 45-point inspection to find what repairs are needed and what can wait, so you only pay what we quote you. Come into Midas today, because you never know what you might run into next.
You'll find it easy to get to,
but very hard to leave. It's the Mohegan Sun Way.
We keep the line short and the action non-stop. It's the Mohegan Sun Way.
Everybody wins at these tables. It's the Mohegan Sun Way.
We'll make every visit one you'll remember. It's the Mohegan Sun Way.
Exit 76 off I-95 in Connecticut. Like no place on earth. Come experience.
The Mohegan Sun Way.
I believe in brotherhood.
International Week continues with African American Day on Sunday, August 2nd. All fans will get a Negro League cap free, courtesy of Chase.
This Negro League cap is from the Newark Eagles.
Be here when the Mets take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. For tickets, call 718-507-TIXX. That's 718-507-TIXX.
Show up at Shea for African American Day.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you in part by your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers. Well, it's getting late here at Shea Stadium and all around New York and the East Coast for that matter. Well, a lot later for the Mets than it is on the clock at 9:17. But the Mets in the last of the 8th will hit against Scott Radinsky, and Edgardo Alfonzo takes ball 1. Radinsky on to relieve Carlos Perez. And Alfonso's slump continues. He's now 1 for his last 25. That's on the outside corner, 1-1. Two and 1 to Alfonso. Radinsky, former Chicago White Sox pitcher.
4-5 on the year with a 2.76 ERA. He's been in 46 games for the Dodgers and pitched 45 2/3 innings in 46 games.
Hit hard through the hole. A base hit for Alfonso. So the Mets get the leadoff man on. And that is noteworthy because it's the first time tonight they've been able to get their leadoff hitter on base. The hope for Glenn Hoffman, the Dodgers manager, is that Radinsky can get this into Jeff Shaw's hands. He's the closer. But here in the 8th inning, the Mets trailing by a run have John Olerud, their hottest hitter, coming up. He's 2 for 3.
And both hits off Carlos Perez, a tough left-hander. And he faces another left-hander right here.
Olerud had the only hits for the Mets until Alfonso. Showing bunt, didn't make contact there. 1 ball, no strikes.
Now they're going to check the ball. Ball hit off Johnson's glove, didn't go very far away from the catcher. So Alfonso had to hold on at first base. This guy doesn't drop very many balls. One of the better defensive catchers, and what an asset that is late in the ball game to a team. The catcher's defense. You're reluctant to try a running game against Johnson. Johnson and Pudge Rodriguez with the Texas Rangers shut down the running game.
So Olerud, the Mets' hottest hitter, their 3-hitter, bunts foul, 1-1. That's somewhat surprising.
Yeah, fans were surprised. They started booing. Especially with the 2 hits Olerud has in his ball game. Or maybe John did it on his own.
John has certainly been comfortable and effective against left-hand pitching. Up the middle and through. It got under Gresselanic's glove. That may have been the reason he was bunting. Try and stay out of the double play and get the runner over. And if Gresselanic comes up with that cleanly, they might have turned a double play. But just as the Dodgers got a break when Lopez made an error in the top of the 8th inning, the Mets get a break. That's going to be an error on Mark Russellonic.
Now Mookie's joking with Olerud. Maybe Olerud misread a sign from Cookie Rojas. But the ball gets under Gressalonic's glove, and a big break for the Mets. Now runners on first and second with nobody out. Here it is again. Olerud hits his ball pretty hard. But if Gressalonic comes up with it, they get a double play. Right under his glove into center field. Now you got runners on first and second. And the batter's going to be Mike Piazza. The left-hander's out of the game. The right-hander's coming in to face Piazza. Mark Gressalonik, the shortstop of the Dodgers, unable to pump at the ball, and now it's our Omni-Point haul to the bullpen.
Hello?
Susan, it's Fred.
Hi. Are we still on for tonight?
Indeed. I have reservations at Shea Joseph.
Really? That place is always booked.
Well, Shea's a personal friend of mine. Pick you up at 7.
Okay. So, do you look as good as you sound?
Omni-Point, 100% digital, 0% hassle. Get $179 Ericsson 388, the latest in digital wireless, for $49.
No matter how high the thermometer climbs or how sticky the humidity gets, nothing will be hotter this summer than the deals you'll get during Jeep Summer Days. Like a zero-down $279 a month Cherokee lease with only $774 due at signing. With all this, including air conditioning at no extra charge. Or get a great price on Jeep Wrangler. But you'd better hurry in because deals this incredibly hot are bound to cool down fast. Check out this $279 lease at your dealer.
Having fun yet? Then get to the Summer of Fun and nobody beats the whiz. Buy the fun stuff you want and get more fun stuff, like special offers, tickets to games, Madison Square Garden, Radio City Music Hall with select purchases. See newspaper for details. Nobody beats the whiz. Full Vision Company.
Well, this game could be decided by errors. The Mets gave up a run after Luis Lopez committed an error. Gressalonik committed an error here in this inning, and we'll see if Piazza takes advantage of it.
Fouls it off down the right field line. 0-1. Piazza tonight has bounced into a fielder's choice, walked, and struck out.
Mark Gressalonik in his first game as a Dodger picks up an error. Well, here's Lopez. He bobbles the ball on the top of the 8th, and that led to a run. Here's Olerud's ground ball. That would have been a 6-4-3 double play. Instead, there are runners on first and second with nobody out in the bottom of the 8th. Mike Piazza, the batter.
Sure did seem as though Olerud did miss a sign when he bunted a 1-0 pitch in that inning. The 0-1 to Piazza. Loop to short. Gressalonik's got it. And the boos get louder for Mike Piazza. One man away. Brian McRae will be next. Frustrating series for Piazza. 0 for 4 last night.
Especially against his old team, the Dodgers.
So Antonio Osuna, who picked up the win last night.
6-0 on the year. 6 saves. 55 strikeouts in 49 2/3 innings. He's got a good, strong arm.
Ryan McRae turns around, bats left-handed for the first time tonight. His better side, although he's behind in the count now, 0-1. McRae 0 for 3, struck out, hit into a fielder's choice, and grounded out. Mets trailing 1-0. We're in the last of the 8th inning. Edgardo Alfonzo, the runner at second, and John Olerud at first. Very little speed on the bases. 1 ball, 1 strike. Alfonzo at second, representing the tying run. Slightly more speed than Olerud, who has no speed at first, but neither team has been able to cash in situations like this. Runners in scoring position. Into the hit off of Reed came with a runner on first and 2 out.
After an error.
2-1 to McRae.
Now watch Johnson going inside on McRae. Looked like a pretty good pitch. Sometimes you can distract the umpire. He focuses in on a certain zone, and Johnson, moving inside, wasn't able to get the pitch that was really in the middle of the plate.
Osuna deals 2-1. And now the count even.
Osuna really pulling the string on Brian McRae, getting him way out in front.
Mario Malfitano, Dodger coach, Glenn Hoffman position the infield. Dodgers at double play depth. Russellonic at short. Had a double play ball. Went under his glove. Young at second. And the 2-2 pitch. McRae tried to check his swing. He did not.
Boy.
And Rapuano punches him out. And there are 2 men away.
Frank Pulley talking to Brian McRae. Getting McRae to walk away from the plate. And Rapuano, the third base umpire, calls this. Boy, does he go around? What? I don't know. But Ed Rapuano knew. He said he went around. And that's a big strikeout. 2 outs now here in the bottom of the 8th.
So McRae out on strikes, and Lenny Harris will pinch hit for Butch Husky. There's Bobby Valentine wants the lefty-righty matchup. John Shelby, the Dodger coach, positioning the Dodger outfielders as Harris, a left-hand batter, will face the right-hander Osuna. Now 2 out and 2 on, and the Mets trailing by a run. Harris has been one of the best pinch hitters in baseball this year. 11 hits, 32 times up as a pinch hitter. And the Mets need him to deliver something now. Be better this year than during his career in this department. And the 1-0 pitch in the air, right field. Sheffield there, and the Mets do not cash in. They had runners at first and second, nobody out. Piazza popped up. Brian McRae struck out. Harris flies out as Osuna retired all 3 to bail out Russellonic.
They have Grissom picked off. He broke early. Cook running right at him. They get another one. This is unbelievable.
The New York Liberty take on the Charlotte Sting in Madison Square Garden tomorrow at 4 p.m. The first 4,000 kids at the game get a Purple Moon backpack and keychain. Compliments of the Liberty. Tickets for all home games are available at the Garden box office or call Ticketmaster at 212-307-7171. And if you can't make it there, you can watch it live on MSG. So Lenny Harris, who made the 3rd out, hitting for Husky, stays in the game, and Gary Sheffield goes deep to left field, and Phillips gets there. 1 man out in the Dodger 9th. Los Angeles still leading 1-0 on an unearned run, the first unearned run allowed this year by Met pitcher Rick Reed. But if the Mets don't bail him out in the bottom of the inning, he'll wind up with his 2nd straight loss. As we told you earlier in the game, it doesn't happen often with Rick Reed.
And when you give an effort like this, it's best to walk away with a victory. Good for the confidence. It's always nice to walk away saying you pitched a good game, but you don't want a loss next to your name. And it kills his teammates as much as it kills Rick Reed. They don't want to waste an effort like this.
1-1 on Eric Karros now. Reed has made 28 starts since losing 4 in a row last August. He has not, though, lost back-to-back starts since then. Below the knees, 2-1. If you want to look ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning, the Mets will be scheduled to send up the bottom 3rd of their order. Luis Lopez, Ray Ordonez, and the pitcher spot. And will Todd Hundley have a bat? Jeff Shaw certainly would figure to be in the game to try and close it out. And Todd may very well be pinch hitting.
He's getting the helmet off. And once he puts that helmet on, he's ready to hit.
Line drive, base hit. Eric Karros has a one-out single.
Left fielder Matt Luke.
So a one-out hit for Eric Karros will bring up Matt Luke. In case you were wondering, by the way, that was not a cigarette in Todd Hundley's mouth. Not sure exactly what it was, but it was not a cigarette. And still is not. What is that, Fran?
Is that the ammonia thing where you have to break that seal and then you can take a sniff of ammonia on a real hot day? You know what? I don't know what it is. It was a good guess.
Outside to Matt Luke, 1-0. Luke has struck out twice and grounded out to first.
But it's not a cigarette. You cannot walk around in the dugout with a cigarette hanging out of your mouth.
Earl Weaver used to try it, although he didn't quite walk around with it. Ordonez in short left field, 2 away.
Now we're told it's smelling salts.
Don't you smell with your nose, though?
How about on such a beautiful night, you don't need them? Have you ever tried them?
No, are you kidding?
Let me tell you.
Not intentionally. Somebody once played a trick on me when I was a counselor in day camp. Said, get a whiff of this. I took him up on it, and I flew about 30 feet. Man.
Usually they hand those out to the players on hot days.
Trinidad Hubbard 1 for 3. He doubled his first time up. Reed hits the outside corner, 0-1. You can see why someone who was dazed after being hit by a pitch or whatever would respond to one of those things. I'll check and see if Hubbard went around, but he didn't, according to Charlie Williams. So 1-1 on Trinidad Hubbard. Game 3 of this 4-game series tomorrow, and Armando Reynoso will make the start against former Met Brian Bohannon. Mets, at least this next time through the rotation, will utilize 6 starting pitchers. Willie Blair, acquired yesterday, will work out of the bullpen, at least for now. So Reynoso will pitch tomorrow. Hideo Nomo will go on Monday against the man for whom he was traded, Dave Malicki. So the Mets will see former Met pitchers each of the next 2 games. Way inside to Hubbard, 2-1. Dave Malicki was telling me he loves it in Los Angeles, mainly because of that mound at Dodger Stadium.
Mainly because he's got some victories.
Pitched well since going to L.A. There's Dave, living in Pasadena, which he says is 10 minutes away from the ballpark.
Well, there's no doubt that Dave Malicki had good talent.
And the breaking ball, 3-1 to Hubbard.
And the Mets were very patient as you look at Hideo Nomo, who also has good talent. And some victories under his belt now as a New York Met.
He'll be on the mound Monday. We'll have that game for you on Fox Sports New York with Nomo and Malicki. And a 7:40 start. Right here, 3-1 to Hubbard with 2 out. Karros at first, he's running. And the pitch popped foul behind the plate. Karros will come back and then have to start it up all over again because now he gets the automatic head start. 2 men away, and Reed having run the count full. Rick Reed allowing just an unearned run. First time that's happened this year for Reed. That's been the only run of the game so far. 1-0 LA. 2 out, top of the 9th. Karros on the move. Tough hop, but Ordonez throws out Hubbard, and the side retired.
That's a nice play by Ordonez. That is not an easy play.
Last licks coming up for the Mets. They'll have Lopez, Ordonez, and a pinch hitter. It's been a night for bonding in the stands, but on the scoreboard, nothing doing yet for the Mets, and they're running out of time. 1-0 Dodgers, last of the 9th inning. And the Mets will have to hit against the Dodgers closer, Jeff Shaw, picked up by Tommy Lasorda from the Cincinnati Reds. In fact, the main prospect they got in that deal, Paul Konerko, the power-hitting first baseman, outfielder, was just sent down to the minor leagues.
And Shaw has been flawless in his efforts as a member of the Dodgers pitching staff. He's the closer, and that's his job right now. Mets have to manufacture a run, or they lose a great effort by Rick Reed.
Luis Lopez takes a fastball, 1-0. That's Willie Blair. Picked up from Arizona yesterday. Rick Reed has done his job, giving up just 6 hits and an unearned run. 1-1 now to Lopez, but the Mets have not been able to support him. It was Lopez's error with 2 outs and nobody on that preceded the RBI double by Eric Young, which brought Alex Cora around from first with the only run of the game. Shaw's the closer. He's right-handed, so you got to figure the Mets will try to get some left-handed pop-up here. Remember, it's the bottom third of the order. Lopez scheduled to be followed by Ray Ordonez and Rick Reed. And the 1-2 pitch outside. Lopez trying to work this as a leadoff hitter would. Shaw trying to stay perfect since becoming a Dodger. 2-2 delivery. Upstairs. And a full count with a leadoff batter here in the last of the 9th inning. Glenn Hoffman, the interim manager. And the payoff pitch. In the air, short right. Late start for Sheffield. Young, the second baseman, and it's Young who makes the catch.
Well, that's a nice play by Eric Young, and he enjoyed it. I don't blame him.
Yeah, because the ball stayed in his glove.
Well, he knows that he's going to take anything he can get to because Gary Sheffield's in right field. And Sheffield, to the last moment, sliding, and Eric Young making the grab.
So 1 out as Young holds on, bailing out Sheffield, who got a late start. Lopez retired. And Matt Franco will be the pinch hitter.
Well, when you go after a ball in the outfield like that, you stop once you're called off. But I got a feeling that Eric Young was being called off by Sheffield, but still made the catch. Figuring, let the sure man catch it.
Matt Franco is batting for Ray Ordonez. And he hits it deep to right field. If it's fair, we're tied. And this game is tied. A home run for Matt Franco. For Matt Franco to deliver his first long ball of the year. 1-1 game in the 9th.
Shades of that Pedro Martinez game last year when Matt Franco, against the Cy Young Award winner Pedro Martinez, went deep in a dramatic fashion. He does it again, this time against Jeff Shaw.
And this is Todd Hundley batting for Reed. And of all the bat slaps that Franco got for this, none could have been any more vigorous than the one from Rick Reed. He's off the hook.
Well, Shaw challenged Franco with a fastball in the wheelhouse. And that's what happened. Franco parked it in the seats in right field.
2-0 to Hundley. He's looking for his first home run this year. 3 balls and no strikes. Hundley did not start because left-hander Carlos Perez was on the mound for the Dodgers. Perez was 2 outs away from a win, but Franco took care of that. And the 3-0 delivery. Outside, the winning run is on.
Well, that's it. That home run will do to a pitcher, boy. Especially in dramatic fashion, the way Matt Franco did it. You lose your concentration for a moment, and Hundley goes down to first base. But the story so far, the pitcher's duel, and Matt Franco with a dramatic pinch hit home run.
So Charlie Huff's going to try to settle Shaw down.
Get him to refocus. After a home run's probably the best time to have a meeting on the mound. And Matt Franco's the reason Jeff Shaw just walked Todd Hundley.
So Rick Reed can still be rewarded with a victory if the Mets can come back here. They already have to tie the game. Now if they can get Hundley around from first base, poetic justice can be served, and Reed, who certainly pitched well enough to win, can pick up win number 12. Tony Phillips in his Met debut, 0 for 3 with a walk. Hundley a short lead at first, and Phillips takes on the inside corner. The .333 batting average includes his American League numbers, which do not factor into the official Major League statistics. It's not a composite when you're traded from league to league. Hundley leading. Outside, 1-1. When you're an interim manager, as the guy on the left is, a game like this makes you feel a little bit more unsettled than if you had a nice 2- or 3-year contract. Of course, the Dodgers were the ones who came from behind in the 9th inning last night. Job security lasts 24 hours in this racket. 1-2 now to Phillips. Phillips before the game what his best position is. He says, I can get it done anywhere. Very confident guy. I asked him, well, where are you most comfortable? He says, I can't get comfortable anywhere. You can't be comfortable in this game.
He's always been considered a guy who can play a lot of positions, more of a utility player.
Stays alive, 1-2.
He's the type of guy that can play 100 games at one position, but when you think of him as a utility player. But the Mets think of him as a leadoff hitter.
Bobby Valentine said he really wouldn't be comfortable using him in the infield. But if he had to, third base would be the first spot that he'd probably look for him rather than second. And the 1-2 pitch on the outside corner. And Phillips is gone. And Jeff Shaw takes care of Phillips for the second out. A strikeout for Shaw. And Edgardo Alfonzo will be next.
Phillips thought that pitch was outside. You could read his lips going into the dugout.
He was telling us before the game about his short fuse with umpires. Alfonzo takes a strike, but Phillips showed proper restraint in that situation. Game 1 out away from heading into extra innings. 0-1 to Alfonzo. Hundley at first, tie game. And Alfonzo charged with a strike. It's 0-2. It's been a struggle over the last couple of weeks for Alfonzo. Hundley still trying to get comfortable. He's on after a base on balls. And the 0-2 pitch in the air towards the gap, hovered over. He can't get it. Hundley around second. Hundley on his way to third. He's being waved home. The Mets are going to win. Mets win. Mets win.
a story here in the 9th inning. Matt Franco with a dramatic pinch hit home run. And then Edgardo Alfonzo, after Todd Hundley walked, Alfonzo comes through with a clutch double. It was a slow, quiet game because of the pitcher's duel. But what a finish.
There is no such thing as a lock in this game. Last night, John Franco, one of the all-time save leaders, entrusted with a 2-run lead going to the 9th inning. Unable to hold it. Tonight, Jeff Shaw, no longer perfect as a Dodger closer.
Alfonzo crushes the ball into the gap in left center field. Hubbard had trouble finding the handle, and with that problem, Hundley easily scored the winning run. And Todd Hundley rounding those bases as fast as those legs can move, and he scores easily. So Shaw giving up a home run to Matt Franco. Then he walked Hundley, and there's Alfonzo with a game-winning double. A quiet night at Shea until the 9th inning, and it ends in dramatic fashion. Alfonzo the game-winning hit, Matt Franco the game-tying pinch hit home run.
So on Hispanic night here at Shea Stadium, Edgardo Alfonzo being mobbed by Carlos Baerga, Luis Lopez, and the rest of the New York Mets, who come from behind to beat the Dodgers 2-1.
Big crowd on hand here at Shea Stadium, and they go home happy because the Mets rally for 2 runs in the bottom half of the 9th inning and beat the Dodgers by a score of 2-1. The game is tied based on a home run hit by our post-game guest, Matt Franco. And Matt, last year you were the pinch-hitting star of this team. I know it's been some struggles at time in that role, but tonight you came through.
Yeah, that was a big one tonight for me. What a time to hit my first home run of the year. You know, I've been joking with the guys, like, God, I got to get that 0 off that home run column, and that was a good one to hit tonight.
1-0 cut fastball, as you were telling me, from Jeff Shaw. Similar situation to last year's dinger off of Pedro Martinez. That was a 1-0 count too.
Yeah, same count, same type situation. Yeah, there it is. I hit it real good. I don't know if I hit as good as the one I did last year off Pedro, but it was far enough, and that was a big hit for me as well as for the team.
And we were talking a moment ago, as we take a look at your home run once again, the celebration by the team after the game. While it is still many games to play before the season's over, this was not a game you guys wanted to lose.
No, not at all. Like we were talking about earlier, you know, it's not a matter of how many games you're behind, but how many teams. You know, as long as there's only one team ahead of you, then it's easy to catch them. But when you got 2, 3, 4 teams ahead of you, you know, it gets real tough. You're hoping for too many teams to lose. And, you know, if we lose tonight, the Dodgers go ahead of us. San Francisco's already a half game. So this was a big game for us, and it was a great win, I'll tell you.
Is a win like this made more important when it comes on the heels of a loss like last night's?
I don't know, maybe, definitely. I think, you know, if we'd have lost another, last night was a heartbreak loss, and tonight would have been another heartbreaker, and 2 of those in a row could take a lot out of a team. Rick Reed pitched so good, and it's, you know, he got the win, I believe, didn't he?
Yep.
And, you know, he deserved it, and, you know, that would have been a tough 1-0 loss tonight, no doubt about it.
All right, with Jeff Shaw on the mound, are you looking for a fastball there? What do you have to do at the plate?
You know, he's one of the best closers in the league. He throws hard, and he's got a good cut fastball, and that's what I was looking for the first pitch. He threw a changeup away, and I said, I'm going to stick with my game plan, and, you know, I'm not going to get jammed. I'm going to get the bat out in front, and, you know, I did, and it went into the seats. It was a great feeling.
And what was your position when Fonzie comes through with the double?
What was my position?
Yeah, were you just sitting next to Reeder?
Yeah, we were all jumping up and down. I don't even really remember at that time. We were watching Hot Rod run around, and once we knew he was going to score, it was just celebration time once that happened.
All right, Matt, congratulations on the big home run, helping the Mets to the victory tonight.
Thanks a lot, Matt. Appreciate it.
Matt Franco, one of the stars of tonight's game. We were talking about the wild card standings. This game awfully important for the Mets. The Giants are winning right now, but the Mets are now tied with the Giants. Again, San Francisco playing Philadelphia, and as Matt mentioned, the Mets did not want to lose tonight and fall behind the Dodgers. Right now, we're told Philadelphia has rallied. They were down in that game 6-0, but they've rallied to tie the contest as they move to the 9th inning in Philadelphia. So the Mets are hoping that the Phils can continue to come back, overtake the Giants, and the Mets will move into second place in the wild card standings. The Mets knew Chicago won today. They knew what they had to do. It took to their last at-bat, fellas, but they come through in dramatic fashion.
It was All right, Matt, dramatic it was. Just as last night was a dramatic win for the Dodgers, so is tonight's for the New York Mets. And if anybody is of the mind that one game is going to dictate the course of the next 5 or 6, I guess tonight pretty much discounts that.
Well, a huge game for the Mets. Matt Franco, who Matt Loughlin just interviewed, hit the dramatic home run. The next batter gets walked. Todd Hundley. Shaw, who has good control, shook up with the home run. He walks Hundley, and then the place, as Alfonso goes to the plate, a double into left center field. A huge hit and a big victory for the Mets.
And that hit by Edgardo Alfonso, the Coors Light play of the day.
Alfonso in a clutch spot with Hundley at first base. Alfonso hitting the ball in the gap to the 396 mark. And Hundley coming around to score the game-winning run. A big victory in front of a huge crowd here at Shea Stadium. Once again, that's our Coors Light play of the game. Edgardo Alfonso, the game-winning double. He was cheering on Todd Hundley as Hundley scored that run. But you can't say enough about Matt Franco.
Franco coming up with the hit that tied it. So as things turn out, Rick Reed does pick up the win. He's now 12-7, and it looked as though he would have to undergo a very difficult loss. Remember, it was an unearned run that he allowed the first time that's happened to him this year.
That was a tough break because ground ball right at Luis Lopez, who is usually very steady at second base, took a little bit of a bad hop. They scored an error, and then the Dodgers are able to capitalize on that error. But the big thing, Rick Reed pitching another masterpiece. Matt Franco's home run. A walk to Todd Hundley, and then Alfonso's double.
Carlos Perez pitched an outstanding game in his debut with the LA Dodgers, but it was the Mets who had the decisive hit in the bottom of the 9th inning, coming off the bat of Edgardo Alfonso. Reed wins it, and Jeff Shaw winds up taking the loss. Our next telecast will be on Monday when this 4-game series with the Dodgers concludes. Hideo Nomo against Dave Malicki. A couple of guys traded for each other. And make sure now to stay tuned for Fox Sports News as we wrap up all the day's sporting activity here on Fox Sports New York. So the New York Mets got a pinch hit home run from Matt Franco to tie it in the bottom of the 9th inning, but the Mets were not through with dramatics yet. Edgardo Alfonso was 2 out, and Hundley on first drove it up the alley in left center. Hubbard couldn't field it cleanly. Hundley chugged around third. Mets win it 2-1. For Fran Healy, Ralph Kiner, and Matt Loughlin, I'm Howie Rose. Our thanks to Kevin Meininger and Jeff Mitchell. Have a good night.